So, guys, for this next story, is something that we've talked about before, but it's being something that the EU is doing. They may actually make it so that iMessage, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, they may actually whatever Google's thing is, Google, what is it, Google Messages, the the EU may actually make these companies interoperate with each other. They actually may
Play
create a
nice
law to where
together.
you've got to play nice. And I mean, I believe it was, we had our, our Green Bubble Bullies episode, a few months ago, and we were talking about this. And the thought was, I can't ever see Apple working with anyone else unless the government tells them that they have to. And now here we are to where the EU may be telling them, this is
You
not a law
gotta
that's
make
been
it.
passed as a proposed law, but they're saying that hey, you may need to make your stuff work with other, companies that have over a certain number of users.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Steph.
No, go ahead. I'm just because I don't have very many thoughts anyway.
I
Go
can
ahead.
see Apple relenting and saying, okay, fine, we'll make it interoperable, meaning that I can communicate with a WhatsApp user or a Facebook Messenger user or Telegram or Signal, whatever the case may be. But that's it. I can just talk to you back and forth. I can send a picture or a video or a file or an emoji, but that's it. All of the additional benefits of using iMessage, being able to text on different devices, all of the extra things that comes with iMessage will still be specific to only being in their ecosystem. But sure, if you want to send a text message to somebody on WhatsApp, sure, send it. We'll do that for you. But I think people are looking at this story and saying, oh, so I'll be able to use iMessage on an Android, or oh, I'll
Mm-mm.
be able to do
Well,
all
I
the
don't
cute
think
little
that's
emojis.
what I don't think that was the story. The link
I
I
think
had
that's
said,
what people think as a result
Yeah,
of
oh, because this
reading
yeah,
is
this
just
story.
WhatsApp having reactions similar to iMessage, being able to double tap and click like on the message or whatever without having to send an additional message or comment back to the person.
That kind of comes on the tail of this
that,
story right here that we're talking about
yeah,
originally.
Did I miss
two
the
two
This,
two
story?
separate stories. So the first
yeah,
Okay.
story is the EU basically telling, or not, they haven't done this yet, but they're proposing legislation that you have to make your messaging platforms
Oh, I
interoperable.
totally missed that link.
So, so here's my take on this.
So
Number one,
everybody has to
kind of work
just so I'm up to
together.
speed, like every messaging. So now that's interesting because all messaging apps aren't necessarily end-to-end encrypted.
Hmm.
So now will they all need to
The,
become end-to-end encrypted to play nice together?
there are
that's
all
the
kind of
challenge.
issues that come up with this, but honestly, as I thought about this, I read through and I was trying to find more articles that maybe would, give opinions on how they think this might work. Um, my gut tells me is RCS is probably the way to go. And I'm not saying that, because I am an Android person, I'm a Google person, and that's what Google has decided to do. RCS is a standard. So when you think about interoperability right now, well, iMessage is absolutely has interoperability with SMS, a standard that is being replaced by RCS. It absolutely has interoperability with MMS, a standard that is being replaced by RCS. So the question is, will they just say, okay, well, if we have to do this, if the law says we have to do it, just like we did with SMS and MMS, we will make our platform interoperable with that. And as Terrance was saying, well, that doesn't mean that you're going to get all the iMessage stuff. You're going to get very little of the iMessage stuff. What it
Yeah.
is going to mean is that, you can send a message. Your image that you send to someone might not look all crappy. You might actually be able to get a reaction here or there, but it ain't going to be like what iMessage
Hey,
is.
listen, you're paying for premium services when you
Yeah.
buy an Apple product,
Yeah.
a lot of which, may be considered IP or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not mad at Apple for not wanting to share. Like I said, I'm just curious about the encryption question, because it's not just Apple that would have to, Apple already does it, but like there's other messaging apps that don't necessarily. So I just would be curious, how that would work
The
out.
encryption issue brings up a lot of questions, on a lot of levels. But here's another one. I don't think the biggest hindrance to this actually ever happening is a company like Apple or a company like Facebook or a company like Telegram or Signal. I don't think that they're the ones who are going to have the issue. I think it's going to be the actual telecom companies because
Mm-hmm.
even here in the United States, RCS isn't rolled out. I mean, it's kind of rolled out everywhere, but I believe that just recently when the Galaxy S22 came out, if you have it on T-Mobile or AT&T, you aren't by default using Google's version of RCS. You're actually using the AT&T version or the T-Mobile version. But if you're on,
Mm-hmm.
if you're on, on Verizon, you still got to use Google's version of it because they haven't actually rolled that out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you go over into Europe, that is the case there as well. It's like there are a lot of carriers who, because no one uses MMS, no one uses SMS, everybody over in Europe is using WhatsApp or Signal or these other platforms or iMessage
Mm-hmm.
because they're not even using it. The carriers have been lazy with actually rolling out these things that are supposed to be standards. So even if the law says, okay, well, Apple, you have to do this, Facebook, you have to do this, Google is already down with it, they already are doing it. If you have to do this, they'll say, okay, but we're going to work with the standard. Now that gets pushed back onto all of the individual carriers who have to go out and actually get this stuff rolled out. Because what I can't imagine ever happening is Apple saying, yeah, we're going to actually, make this standard work, but we're going to go the Google route since the carriers aren't doing it. We're going to basically just run this, set up servers in our back end. And if the carriers won't do it, then you can just use Google's version or you can use Apple's version. It's like, no, if you want to do that, buy an iPhone and use iMessage. I don't know how the law would actually mandate that they actually give their IP away as
Right.
compared to, no, we are making it interoperable. You have to actually, make sure that the carriers are upgrading their stuff so the stuff that is interoperable actually work.
And
And they're
maybe
going to
So,
that'll,
spend all their money on lobbying the government to not
yeah,
make them do it, as opposed to
right.
which
just making the upgrade to do it.
which might be Apple's play. It's like, sure, we'll do that and put the ball back in the telecoms court, and
Yep.
they'll be like,
Right back in their
yeah, we
court.
don't want to do it, and Apple will be
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
I told you,
Exactly.
we tried.
Exactly. Which always happens. Crazy.
So also, the other part of this was that WhatsApp, and I don't know why they haven't done this because Facebook Messenger has had it for so long, but they don't have reactions. So, and that was, it's like it's related, but not, exactly part of what's happening in the EU. But it's just like, man, it's like, one of the biggest messaging platforms on earth is just now getting some features that pretty much everybody else has actually had. I think that's, what that, that WhatsApp story is about.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you that, yeah, there probably should be something. It would be nice that if you had this platform, I could talk to someone else, but I would never want, well, it has to be Apple's technology, or it has to be Google's proprietary technology, or it has to be Facebook's proprietary technology that Earth has to use. No, make a
And
standard
then
and then
what does
everybody apply to adhere to the standard.
what does that do to competition too? If you can get the same type of service across any platform, which platforms end up going away as a result of that, and and
Mhm.
and does that push platforms out that aren't able to maybe offer the bells and whistles that others can't? Like, I mean, I know that's capitalism and whatever, survival of the fittest, but I don't know, that it'll just be interesting to see who survives that shakeup, because there probably will be some messaging services that wouldn't.